I didn't notice when they started calling me by my number instead of my name. Took me 3 years to realize I'd stopped correcting them. By then, I couldn't remember if forgetting was something they did to me or something I did to myself. I don't remember the sky anymore. Not really. I remember that I'm supposed to remember it blue, they said, or gray, or orange at the edges when the sun came down, but when I close my eyes and try to pull it back, all I get is the ceiling. Vault 47's ceiling. Off-white panels with recessed lighting that hums just below the range of hearing, a frequency you feel in your teeth before you notice it in your ears. We've been down here 9 years. 9 years, 2 months, 17 days. I know because they keep count for us. There's a display in the main atrium, right above the hydroponics entrance, glowing green numbers that tick forward every midnight. Some people don't look at it anymore. I look at it every day. Twice, usually. Once in the morning when I go to my assignment, once in the evening when I come back. I don't know why I do it. Maybe because it's the only thing down here that admits time is passing. Everything else pretends we just got here yesterday. The vault is clean. That's the first thing anyone notices. Not just maintained clean. The floors shine. The walls don't have scuff marks. The air smells like nothing, or maybe like the filtration system, which amounts to the same thing. When we first came down, people cried with relief. I remember that. I remember standing in the entrance tunnel with my daughter's hand in mine, both of us shaking, our clothes still dusted with ash from the surface, and looking out at the rows of bunks, the gleaming metal rails, the soft lighting, and thinking, we made it. We made it. My daughter's name was Claire. Is Claire. I have to stop doing that. She's 14 now. She was 5 when we descended. I barely recognize her sometimes, and I don't think that's just because children change. There's something in her face that wasn't there before, or maybe something that should be there and isn't. She looks at me the way the other kids look at their parents, polite, careful, like we're supervisors instead of family. I don't know when that started. The vault assigned me to maintenance the first week. I used to be a teacher before the bombs, before the sirens, before the crush of bodies at the vault door and the smell of burning skin from the people who didn't make it inside fast enough. I told the intake coordinator that during processing, I filled out the forms. I checked the box for education under previous occupation. They put me in maintenance anyway. We need people who can follow technical protocols, the coordinator said. Her name was Mrs. Hendricks, and she smiled when she said it, the kind of smile that doesn't reach past the mouth. Your skills will be invaluable in other areas once we've stabilized. That was 9 years ago. I still work in maintenance. It's not hard work, really. Mostly it's checking seals, monitoring pressure gauges, making sure the air recyclers are running at proper capacity. Sometimes we replace filters or tighten bolts that don't seem loose. The vault runs itself, for the most part. I think that's intentional. I think they want us busy without being necessary. My supervisor is a man named Terrence. He's younger than me by a decade, maybe more. He was already down here when we arrived, part of the staff pre-selected for management positions. He wears the same blue jumpsuit the rest of us wear, but his has a yellow stripe down the sleeve. That means leadership. He's polite. Always polite. "Morning, David," he says. Every morning, the same inflection, the same slight nod. "Morning," I say back. We don't talk beyond that. None of us do, really. Not in maintenance. We work in pairs, usually checking systems in different sections, and we talk about the work valve pressure, coolant levels, whether the lighting in Section C seems dimmer than yesterday, but we don't talk about anything else. I used to try. The first year, I'd ask my partner about their life before, what they did, where they lived, if they had family on the surface. Most people would answer, at first, short answers, vague. Then they'd go quiet, and after a while they'd find a reason to move to a different part of the room. I stopped asking. Claire goes to school every day. Vault education, they call it. It happens in a long room on the second level, Rows of desks facing a wall-mounted screen. There's a teacher, Mr. Carver, but I don't think he does much teaching. Mostly the screen does it. Lessons flicker past history, mathematics, biology, civics, and the children sit and watch and take notes in identical grey notebooks. I asked Claire once what they were learning. Stuff, she said. What kind of stuff? I don't know. Vault stuff. She was 11 then. I should have pressed harder. I didn't. The thing about Vault 47 is that it works. That sounds obvious, but it's not. I've heard stories from the surface, whispers that filtered down through the intake crew before the door sealed, about other vaults. Vaults where the systems failed, where the water went bad, where people turned on each other within weeks. Vault 47 isn't like that. The systems don't fail. The water is clean. The food is nutritious, if bland. The lights stay on. We're safe. That's what they tell us. There are orientation sessions every month in the atrium. Attendance is mandatory. We file in after dinner, 263 people, that's how many of us made it inside, and sit on the benches while Overseer Wexler stands at the podium and talks. He's older, mid-60s maybe, with grey hair combed back and a calm voice that never rises or falls. He talks about supply levels, maintenance schedules, safety drills. He reminds us that we're the lucky ones. He reminds us that the surface is still uninhabitable, that radiation levels remain critical, that we have everything we need right here. He smiles when he says it. Everyone claps when he finishes. I clap too. The first person I noticed disappear was a woman named Alice. She worked in the kitchens, I think, or maybe laundry. I didn't know her well. I'd seen her in the dining hall, always sitting near the back, always alone. She had red hair, I remember that. Bright red, the kind that stands out even under fluorescent lights. One day she wasn't there anymore. I didn't think much of it at first. People move around. Maybe she got reassigned to a different shift. But then I saw her jumpsuit in the laundry, folded and stacked with the others, and I realized I hadn't seen her in over a week. I asked Terence about it. Who? He said. Alice, red hair, worked in the kitchens. He looked at me for a long time, his face blank. Then he shook his head. Doesn't ring a bell. You don't remember her? I don't think we have anyone by that name. I didn't push it. A few weeks later, someone else was gone. A man this time. I don't remember his name. I don't even remember what he looked like, really. I just remember noticing his seat empty in the atrium during orientation and thinking, wasn't someone sitting there? After that, I started paying attention. It's not a lot of people. Maybe one every few months. Sometimes more. There are always people on the edges, people you wouldn't notice unless you were looking. They don't make announcements. There's no ceremony. They just stop being there, and after a while, it's like they were never there at all. I asked Claire if she'd noticed. Noticed what? She said. People disappearing. She frowned. What do you mean? People who were here before, who aren't here now. She stared at me like I'd asked her to solve a calculus problem. I don't know what you're talking about, Dad. You don't remember Alice? The woman with the red hair? She shook her head. I dropped it. The vault has rules. Not a lot of them, really. Don't tamper with the systems. Attend your assignments. Report any malfunctions to your supervisor. Be respectful to staff. They're reasonable rules. They make sense. There are other rules that aren't written down. Don't go into the lower levels without clearance. Don't ask questions during orientation. Don't talk about the surface. I didn't realize these were rules at first. They felt more like suggestions, like common sense. But over time, I started noticing what happened when people broke them. A man named Gordon tried to go down to level 4 once. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe, or boredom. He made it to the stairwell before security stopped him. They were polite about it. They didn't yell or threaten. They just explained that level 4 was restricted, that only authorized personnel were allowed, that he needed to return to his quarters. He did. 2 weeks later, Gordon was gone. I didn't ask where he went. There's a woman who works in administration named Dr. Ortiz. I see her sometimes in the hallways, always walking quickly, always carrying a tablet. She has dark hair pulled back in a bun and glasses that reflect the overhead lights. She doesn't make eye contact. I tried to talk to her once, a few years back. I stopped her in the corridor outside the dining hall and asked if I could speak with her about my daughter. "Concerning what?" she said, not looking up from her tablet. "Her education. I was a teacher before we came down. I thought maybe I could help with the curriculum, or..." "We have a full educational staff," she said. "Your offer is noted." She walked away before I could respond. I haven't spoken to her since. Claire turned 12 the same week they started the wellness checks. That's what they called them, wellness checks. Once a month, everyone had to go to the medical bay for an evaluation. Height, weight, blood pressure, basic reflex tests. It only took a few minutes. "It's just to make sure everyone's healthy," the nurse said when I asked. Her name tag said Patterson. She had a kind face, but her eyes didn't move when she smiled. "Living underground can have effects on the body. We want to catch any issues early." "What kind of effects?" "Vitamin deficiencies, mostly. Bone density. Nothing to worry about." She gave me a small white pill in a paper cup. "What's this?" "Supplement. Everyone gets one." I looked at the pill. "What's in it?" Her smile tightened. "Vitamins." I swallowed it. After that, I started feeling different. Not sick, exactly, just distant. Like there was a thin pane of glass between me and everything else. Sounds seemed quieter. Colors seemed flatter. I'd stand in the maintenance tunnels staring at a gauge, and it would take me a few seconds to remember why I was there. I asked my partner if he felt the same way. He looked at me. "Felt what way?" "Strange. Like you're somewhere else." "I feel fine," he said. I didn't bring it up again. The thing is, I don't think I'm imagining it. I watch people during orientation, the way they sit perfectly still, the way they clap at exactly the same moment, the way no one ever shifts or yawns or looks away. I watch my daughter at the dinner table, the way she eats with mechanical precision, always finishing everything on her plate, always folding her napkin in the same neat triangle when she's done. I watch myself sometimes, in the mirror, in the communal bathroom, and I barely recognize the face looking back. It's been 6 months since I stopped taking the pill. I palm it every time now, pretend to swallow, and spit it into the toilet later. The first week was hard. I felt sick, shaky, like something inside me was waking up and screaming. But then the fog started to lift. Colors came back. Sounds sharpened. So did the fear. Because now I can see it. I can see the way people move through the vault like sleepwalkers, the way conversations loop and repeat, the way no one seems to notice when someone's gone. I can see the cameras in the corners of every room, the way security always seems to be nearby, watching without watching. I can see my daughter slipping further away. She doesn't talk to me much anymore. When she does, her voice is flat, rehearsed. She says things like, "The vault provides, and we're fortunate to be here." And Overseer Wexler says we should focus on our contributions. I asked her once if she was happy. She looked at me like the question didn't make sense. "Of course," she said. "Why wouldn't I be?" I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shake her, to scream that this isn't normal, that we're not supposed to live like this, that she used to laugh and cry and get angry and now she's just empty. I didn't. I smiled and told her I was glad. There's a man who sits in the back during orientation. I've started watching him because he's the only other person who doesn't clap right away. He waits, just a half second, and then joins in. His name is Marcus, I think, or Martin, something with an M. He works in hydroponics. I caught his eye once, a few months ago. Just for a moment, he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I saw something there, recognition, maybe, or fear, and then he looked away. I haven't tried to talk to him. I don't trust anyone. The lower levels are where they keep the machinery. The water processors, the air recyclers, the generators. That's what they told us during the first orientation. Critical infrastructure, Overseer Wexler called it. Access is restricted to trained personnel to prevent accidents. I've worked in this vault for 9 years. I know how to read a pressure gauge. I know how to replace an air filter. I could probably run half the systems down there with minimal training. I've never been to the lower levels. No one has, except security and administration. I asked Terrence about it once, years ago, back when I still asked questions. "What's down there?" I said. "Machinery." "I know, but what kind? What do they need a whole level for?" He didn't look at me. "I don't have clearance for that information. Do you ever wonder?" No. That was the end of the conversation. But I wonder a lot. I started keeping a list in my head of everyone who's gone. I can't write it down, there's no privacy here, no place to hide anything, but I can remember. Alice, Gordon, a woman named Susan or Sandra, a young man with a scar on his cheek, an older couple who always sat together. 23 people so far. That's nearly 10% of the vault. And no one talks about it, no one even seems to notice. The count on the display above hydroponics doesn't change, it still says 263 residents. I don't understand how that's possible. Unless they're not counting anymore. Or unless we weren't the only ones down here to begin with. Claire is changing. Or maybe she already changed, and I'm only now seeing it clearly. She doesn't look at me the same way anymore. There's something in her eyes, something cold and evaluating, like she's deciding whether I'm a problem. We were sitting at dinner last week, the same grey meal we always get, protein paste and reconstituted vegetables, and she said, "You seem stressed, Dad." I looked up. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine. You look worried." "I'm not worried. You should talk to Dr. Ortiz if you're feeling anxious. She can help." The way she said it, flat and certain, made my stomach turn. "I'm fine, Claire." She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Okay, but if you change your mind, you should talk to someone. It's important to maintain mental wellness." She sounded like a recording. I excused myself early and went back to my bunk. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the ventilation system, and tried to figure out when my daughter stopped being my daughter. I think it was the school. Or maybe the pills. Or maybe both. I think they're doing something to the children. I think they've been doing something to all of us. The wellness checks got more frequent last month. Now it's twice a month. Then every week. They take blood now too. Just routine monitoring. Nurse Patterson says every time. Nothing to worry about. But I see the way she labels the vials, the way she writes down notes I'm not allowed to see, the way her smile never changes no matter what I say. I stopped going. The first time I missed an appointment, nothing happened. The second time, Terrence pulled me aside. "You missed your wellness check," he said. "I forgot. It's mandatory. I'll go next time." He stared at me for a long time, then he nodded. "Make sure you do." 3 days later, 2 security officers showed up at my work assignment. They didn't say anything. They just stood there, watching me, until my shift ended. Then they followed me to the medical bay. Nurse Patterson was waiting. "There you are," she said, that same flat smile. "Let's get you checked in." I didn't resist. I took the pill. I felt the fog come back almost immediately. That thick grey numbness that makes everything feel far away and unimportant. I went back to my bunk and lay down, and for a while I didn't think about anything at all. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm writing this in my head because I can't write it anywhere else. I'm trying to hold on to it, to keep it clear, because I can feel myself slipping again. The pill makes it hard to care. It makes it hard to remember why any of this matters. But it does matter. It has to matter. Because something is wrong here, something worse than I thought, and if I don't figure out what it is, I'm going to lose myself completely. I'm going to disappear, just like the others. And no one will remember I was ever here. I started noticing the patterns last month, once the fog thinned enough for me to think clearly again. I've been palming the pill every few days, taking just enough to keep them from noticing, but not enough to shut me down completely. It's a balance. Too much clarity and they'll see I'm awake. Too little and I'll stop caring. The patterns are everywhere once you look for them. The people who disappear are always alone. No close friends, no strong family ties. Or if they have family, the family is already gone. They're the ones who sit by themselves in the dining hall, who don't talk during breaks, who keep their heads down. They're the ones no one will miss. The people who get promoted, the ones with yellow stripes on their jumpsuits, the ones who get assigned to administration or security, they're different. They're the ones who follow every rule, who never question, who smile during orientation and clap the loudest. They're the ones who turned into whatever this place wants us to be. They're the ones who stopped being human. Claire got her yellow stripe last week. She came back to our quarters beaming, holding it up like a trophy. "Look, Dad, they promoted me." I stared at the stripe. "Promoted you to what?" "Junior coordinator. I'll be helping with the younger students now, making sure they're adjusting well." "You're 14. Almost 15. She frowned. "You don't seem happy." "I am. I'm happy for you." She looked at me the way Dr. Ortiz looks at people evaluating, measuring, deciding. Then she smiled. "Thanks, Dad. I knew you'd be proud." She sewed the stripe onto her sleeve that night, her movements precise and practiced, like she'd done it 1,000 times before. I watched her and felt something crack inside my chest. That was my daughter. That's still my daughter. But the girl sewing that stripe onto her jumpsuit wasn't the little girl who used to wake me up early on Saturdays so we could watch cartoons together. She wasn't the girl who cried when her goldfish died, who refused to eat vegetables, who asked me impossible questions about the universe and got frustrated when I didn't have answers. She was someone else now. Something else. And I don't know if I can get her back. I've been watching the lower levels. Not going down there, I'm not that stupid, but watching the stairs, the access points, who goes down and who comes up. Security goes down every day, multiple times. They're always in pairs, always carrying equipment I don't recognize. Sometimes they bring food, sometimes they bring medical supplies. Once, I saw them wheeling a gurney down, the white sheet pulled up over whoever was on it. I couldn't see a face. I don't know if there was one to see. Administration goes down less frequently. Dr. Ortiz goes down once a week, always carrying her tablet, always flanked by security. Overseer Wexler goes down every few days. He stays longer than anyone else, sometimes hours. No one else goes down. No one else is allowed. But I've started hearing things from down there. Late at night, when the vault is quiet and most people are asleep, I hear sounds through the ventilation system. Mechanical sounds, mostly hums and clanks and the hiss of hydraulics. But sometimes I hear other things. Voices. Screaming. I told myself I was imagining it at first, that the pills were still in my system, making me paranoid. But then I met Marcus or Martin, or whatever his name is, alone in the maintenance tunnel during a late shift, and he looked at me with wide, terrified eyes and whispered, "You hear it too, don't you?" I didn't answer. He grabbed my arm. "Please, tell me you hear it." I pulled away. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. I can see it in your face. You're awake. You stopped taking the pills. Keep your voice down." He did, but he didn't let go of my arm. "There's something down there, something they're not telling us." "I know. We have to find out what it is." "No." I shook my head. "We have to survive. That's all. We keep our heads down, we do our jobs, and we survive." "For how long?" His voice cracked. "How long until we're next?" I didn't have an answer. He let go of my arm and turned away, his shoulders shaking. For a moment I thought he was going to cry. Then he straightened up, took a breath, and walked away without looking back. I haven't seen him since. His seat was empty at the last orientation. 262 residents now. Except the counter still says 263. I need to stop thinking about this. I need to take the pill, let the fog come back, stop asking questions that don't have good answers. I need to be like everyone else, quiet, compliant, safe. But I can't, because every time I think about giving up, I look at Claire and see what giving up looks like. I see what this place does to people who stop fighting. The drills started last month. Safety drills, they called them. Everyone had to report to the atrium, stand in assigned groups, and listen while security explained emergency procedures. Vault breach protocols, fire suppression, contamination response. They were calm about it, professional. This was just routine, they said, preparedness. But I noticed something during the last drill. They weren't counting us. They were separating us. Group A, Group B, Group C. Everyone got assigned to a group based on some criteria no one explained. I ended up in Group C. Claire was in Group A. When I tried to move toward her, a security officer stopped me. "Stay with your group," he said. "That's my daughter. Stay with your group." His hand was on his baton. I stayed. After the drill, I tried to find Claire to ask her what they'd told Group A, but she was already gone. I found her later in our quarters, lying on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. "What did they tell you?" I asked. "What?" "During the drill, what did they tell Group A?" She rolled over to face me. "The same thing they told everyone. Emergency procedures." "Did they say why they separated us?" "Efficiency. Different groups have different roles during an emergency." "What's your role?" She hesitated, just for a second. Then she said, "I'm not supposed to talk about it." "Claire." "I'm not supposed to talk about it, Dad." Her voice was sharp. "Drop it." I dropped it, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. I think the groups mean something. I think they're dividing us into categories: useful, expendable, something else, and I think the drills are practice for whatever comes next. I think Group C is the expendable one. I think I'm running out of time. The walls feel closer lately. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean the actual walls. The metal panels and rivets seem to be pressing in from all sides. The corridors feel narrower. The ceilings feel lower. I find myself walking with my shoulders hunched, my hands brushing against the walls, even though I know the dimensions haven't changed. It's the vault. It's getting inside my head. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe that's the point. I had a conversation with Terrence yesterday that I can't stop replaying. We were checking the seals on a maintenance hatch, both of us silent and focused, when he suddenly said, "Do you ever think about the surface?" I looked at him. He wasn't looking back. His eyes were on the seal, his hands steady as they worked. "Sometimes," I said carefully. "What do you think it's like up there now?" "Dead?" "Yeah." He nodded slowly. "Probably." We worked in silence for another minute. Then he said, "Do you ever think it might be better than down here?" My heart started pounding. This was a test. It had to be a test. But something in his voice, something small and broken, made me think maybe it wasn't. "I don't know," I said. "I do." He finally looked at me, and his eyes were clearer than I'd seen them in years. "It would be." Before I could respond, he went back to work, his face blank again, like the moment had never happened. We finished the job in silence. He didn't show up for work the next day, or the day after that. His seat was empty at orientation. 261 residents. The counter still says 263. I'm starting to understand what the vault is. It's not a shelter. It's not protection from the surface. It's a filter. They're separating us into categories: compliant, resistant, useful, obsolete, and they're removing the ones who don't fit. The ones who ask questions. The ones who remember what it was like to be free. The ones who might cause problems later, when whatever this is reaches its conclusion. They're not killing us, I don't think. At least not all of us. They're doing something else. Something down on the lower levels, something that needs people who don't resist. I think the people who disappear go down there. I think they don't come back. And I think I'm next. Claire stopped talking to me last week. Not overtly, she still says good morning, still sits with me at dinner, but the conversations are hollow, scripted. She asks how my day was. I say fine. She says that's good. We eat in silence. She watches me, though. I catch her sometimes, her eyes tracking my movements, noting when I'm tense or distracted. She's reporting on me. I'm sure of it now. My own daughter is reporting on me. I don't blame her. I can't. She's 14. She doesn't understand what she's become, what they've made her. She thinks she's helping. She thinks she's keeping me safe. She doesn't realize she's the reason I'm not. I tried to talk to her about it 2 nights ago. I waited until late, until the lights were dimmed for sleep cycle, and sat on the edge of her bunk. Claire, I whispered, I need you to listen to me. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. Dad, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I need to know something. Do you trust me? She frowned. Of course I trust you. Do you remember what it was like before? Before we came here? Before the vault? Yes. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Not really. I was little. But you remember some of it, right? You remember the house? The backyard? Your room with the purple walls? I guess. Do you remember being happy? She pulled away slightly. I'm happy now. Are you? Why are you asking me this? Because I'm trying to understand if you can still feel it. Happiness, real happiness, not just going through the motions. She stared at me, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Confusion, maybe, or fear. But then it was gone, replaced by that same flat, evaluating look. I think you need to talk to Dr. Ortiz, she said. I stood up. Forget it. Go back to sleep. The next morning, Dr. Ortiz was waiting outside my bunk when I woke up. David, she said, smiling her thin smile. Do you have a moment? It wasn't a question. We walked together to her office, a small room off the administration corridor, clinical and white, with a desk and 2 chairs and nothing else. She sat behind the desk and gestured for me to sit across from her. Your daughter is concerned about you, she said. Is she? She says you've been asking strange questions, talking about the past, exhibiting signs of anxiety. I'm fine. I'm sure you are. She folded her hands on the desk. But I'd like to help, just to make sure. These environments can be stressful, even after all this time. It's natural to feel disconnected, to struggle with adjustment. I'm adjusted. Are you? She watched me, waiting. I didn't answer. I'd like to schedule some sessions with you, she said, just to talk. Work through whatever you're feeling. I don't need therapy. It's not therapy. It's wellness support. Everyone benefits from it. I'm fine. Her smile tightened. I'm afraid it's not optional, David. We stared at each other. Mandatory wellness support, I said finally. Exactly. When? Tomorrow. After your shift. She made a note on her tablet. And David? It's important that you're honest during our sessions. Honesty is the only way we can help you. I left without responding. I know what this means. Sessions with Dr. Ortiz, mandatory and frequent. More pills, stronger ones probably. Evaluation, observation, adjustment. And if that doesn't work, if I don't become compliant, if I don't stop asking questions, then I'll disappear too. Just like the others. I have to make a choice. I can take the pills. I can sit through the sessions and nod and agree and let them smooth me down into something that doesn't cause problems. I can become what this place wants me to be: empty, obedient, safe. Or I can resist. And if I resist, they'll take me to the lower levels. I'll find out what's down there, and I'll never come back. I don't know which is worse. The first session with Dr. Ortiz was yesterday. She asked me about my childhood, my marriage, my life before the bombs. She asked if I had regrets, fears, unresolved trauma. She asked if I was sleeping well, eating well, feeling connected to the community. I lied about everything. I told her I was fine, adjusted, grateful to be here. I told her I'd been stressed lately, that I was worried about Claire, that I just needed to focus on my work and things would improve. She didn't believe me. I could see it in her eyes, the way they narrowed slightly when I spoke, the way she made little notes on her tablet after every answer. At the end of the session, she gave me a pill. "This will help with the anxiety," she said. I took it. I didn't swallow it. I held it under my tongue until I got back to my bunk, then spit it into the toilet and watched it dissolve. My hands were shaking. I think I have a week, maybe 2. That's how long I can keep pretending before they figure out I'm not taking the pills, before Dr. Ortiz decides I'm a lost cause. After that, I'm gone. So I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to go to the lower levels. Not officially, not with clearance. I'm going to sneak down there, late at night when security is thinnest, and I'm going to find out what's happening. I'm going to see what they're hiding, what they're doing to the people who disappear. And if I don't come back when I don't come back, at least I'll know. At least I'll die knowing. Because that's better than dying like everyone else here, slowly and quietly, forgetting who I used to be until there's nothing left to forget. I'm writing this down now, in my head, because I need to hold on to it. I need to remember why I'm doing this. For Claire. For the people who are gone. For myself. Because even if survival is all we have, it still has to mean something. It has to. The opportunity came last night. There was a malfunction in Sector E, something with the water pressure, and half of maintenance got called in to deal with it. Security went with them. The lower levels were understaffed, unmonitored. I waited until 0300 hours, until the vault was as quiet as it ever gets. And then I left my bunk. The corridors were empty. The lights were dimmed for sleep cycle, just bright enough to see by. My footsteps echoed against the metal floor, too loud, too obvious, but there was no one to hear them. I made it to the stairwell without seeing anyone. The door to the lower levels was locked, but it was an old mechanical lock, not electronic. I work in maintenance. I know how to pick a lock. It took me 3 minutes. The door opened with a soft click, and I slipped through into the darkness beyond. The stairs went down further than I expected. One level, then another, then another. The air got colder as I descended, and there was a smell antiseptic, sharp, with something underneath it that made my stomach turn. I reached the bottom and stopped. There was a long corridor ahead of me, lit by harsh white lights that flickered slightly. Doors lined both sides, all of them closed, all of them marked with numbers and codes I didn't recognize. I could hear the machines now, humming, clicking, whirring. And underneath that, faint but unmistakable, voices. I walked forward slowly, my heart hammering in my chest. The first door was labeled Processing A. I tried the handle, locked. The second door, Storage. Medical. Also locked. Resums Danes. Intensiva. Medical. The third door. Observation 1. This one was unlocked. I pushed it open. The room beyond was small and dark, except for a window set into the far wall. Through the window, I could see another room, brightly lit, with a hospital bed in the center. There was someone on the bed. I stepped closer to the window. It was Marcus, or Martin, the man from hydroponics. He was strapped down, his arms and legs secured with thick restraints. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling, unblinking. There were wires attached to his head, thin and silver, leading to a machine beside the bed that blinked with green and red lights. His mouth was moving. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could see his lips forming the same words over and over. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I stepped back from the window, my hands shaking. This was it. This was what happened to the people who disappeared. They weren't killed. They were reprogrammed, stripped down and rebuilt into something compliant, something that wouldn't question or resist. And then they were put back into the vault, walking and talking and looking like themselves, but empty inside. How many people up there weren't people anymore? How many had already been through this room? I turned and ran. I didn't make it far. There were security officers at the end of the corridor, 2 of them, blocking the way back to the stairs. They didn't look surprised to see me. They just stood there, calm and patient, waiting. "David," one of them said, "you need to come with us." I could have fought. I could have screamed. But what would be the point? I was already caught. I let them take me. They brought me to a different room, larger than the observation room, with a bed in the center and that same machine with its blinking lights. Dr. Ortiz was there, and Overseer Wexler, both of them watching me with expressions that might have been concern or might have been nothing at all. "Sit down, David," Wexler said. I sat. Dr. Ortiz stepped forward, holding a syringe. "This is going to help you," she said. "You've been struggling for a long time. We're going to fix that. You're going to erase me. We're going to help you adjust. You'll be happier this way. Everyone is." I looked at Wexler. "How many people have you done this to?" "Everyone who needed it," he said simply. "The vault requires cooperation, David. Unity. People who can't achieve that on their own need assistance. You're turning us into robots. We're ensuring survival. The surface is gone. This is all that's left. We need people who can function here, who can contribute without conflict or doubt. It's the only way." Dr. Ortiz took my arm. I didn't resist. What was the point? The needle slid into my vein, and I felt the cold spread through my body. "You'll understand soon," she said. "You'll see that this is better." The world started to blur at the edges. I thought about Claire. I thought about how she'd already gone through this, probably years ago. How the girl I'd been raising was just a shell of who she used to be. I thought about all the people in this vault, walking and talking and going through the motions, and I wondered how many of them were real anymore. I wondered if any of us ever were. The last thing I remember before the darkness took me was Wexler's voice, calm and certain. "Welcome back, David." I wake up in my bunk. The light is on. It's morning. I can hear people moving through the corridors, starting their day. I sit up slowly. My head feels clear, clearer than it has in years. There's no fog, no weight, no fear. I feel fine. I get dressed and go to my assignment. Terrence is already there, checking the pressure gauges. "Morning, David," he says. "Morning," I say back. We work in silence. At lunch, I sit with Claire. She smiles when she sees me. "How are you feeling, Dad?" she asks. "Good," I say. "Really good." I'm glad. We eat together. The food is fine. Everything is fine. That night, there's an orientation session. I sit on the bench with everyone else and listen to Overseer Wexler talk about supply levels and maintenance schedules and how fortunate we are to be here. When he finishes, everyone claps. I clap too. I clap because it's what you do. I clap because I'm grateful. I clap because the vault provides. And somewhere, deep in a place I can't quite reach anymore, something that used to be me is screaming. But I can't hear it. I don't hear anything. The days blur together now. Work, meals, orientation, sleep. It's a good rhythm. Stable. Safe. I don't think about the surface anymore. I don't think about what happened in the lower levels. I don't think about who I used to be. I'm better this way. Everyone says so. Claire tells me I seem happier. Dr. Ortiz tells me I've made excellent progress. Terrence tells me my work is exemplary. I believe them. Why wouldn't I? The vault provides everything we need. Clean air, clean water, safety, structure. We're the lucky ones. We survived. This is what survival looks like. This is what it costs. And it's fine. I'm fine. We're all fine. The counter above hydroponics still says 263 residents. It's been saying that for 9 years. I don't question it anymore. I don't question anything.